Biotechnology Principles and Processes of Class 12 Biology. So, today we'll start with a very informative, interesting, and innovative topic, that is biotechnology, its principles, and the processes associated with it. So, how do you define biotechnology? Biotechnology is a very important and interesting concept. It's a very important field because it is biology plus technology. So many people think that when you talk about biology there is no association with technology or maths or physics to it. No, it is not like that. Today's world, everything is connected. So biology, when associated with technology, that is the physics part, the technological part, when both are amalgamated together, you form the biotechnology. So it deals with living organisms or their products to produce the such substances which are ultimately beneficial for human beings. Okay, so we have to produce something which has to be very important and useful to us in some way or the other. May it be in the field of medicine or in the field of something innovative that might be ultimately effective for all of us, for all human beings, and ultimately lead to the advancement in science. Example, genetically modified organisms. So GMOs, as we know already, BT cotton, BT corn or BT brinjal, in vitro fertilization. So for couples who are facing problems in fertilization, so in those cases IVF is a very important solution to produce test tube babies. All this is a gift of nothing but biotechnology. Developing DNA vaccines or correcting genetic defects. So with increasing advancement, with increasing complexities, what is also increasing is the number and advent of diseases. The viral diseases, the bacterial diseases, their complexities. So the genome is further increasing, advancing. We should always equip ourselves to provide something which is better, the developed version of it. So finding vaccines, if it is possible only, it is because of biotechnology. So now we have a brief idea about why should we study biotechnology at all, or why is it such an interesting and important subject at the same time, and why do people say that it is going to be the flourishing subject for the at least next 50 years. So defined by the European Federation of Biotechnology, the integration, the amalgamation of natural science, something which is occurring naturally, into the living organisms, okay, cells, parts thereof, and molecular analogues for their products and services. So whatever they are beneficial for, when you are mixing all of them together, amalgamation is happening and then producing a single response as a result, which is a positive one, that is coming under biotechnology. Now principles. Basically there will be two core ones. One will be the genetic engineering, another will be the maintenance of sterile environment. So genetic engineering is called to be, after the advent of genetic engineering, actually scientists thought that it is a gift of nature. Okay, it's a gift actually that genetic engineering came into play, because whatever existed in nature, we started taking advantage of that. We started taking discovering new things every day, and then ultimately using all of it for our own beneficial purposes. So it's a technique altogether to change the genetic material and to incorporate, to add the genetic material into the host organism, hence change the phenotype of the host organism. So for example, if I take a bacteria's DNA and insert into some other organism, okay, or if I take a bacterial DNA, insert into another bacteria, all these things will come under genetic engineering, and that bacteria can be further used for a good purpose. For example, advent of insulin for people who have diabetes mellitus. For them, how do you think the insulin came into picture? It's only and everything is because of the gift of genetic engineering. So we should be actually thankful that so many people, if they're getting benefited today, it's all because the biotechnology or the genetic engineering has come into picture. Now, maintenance of sterile environment. What do you mean by the word sterile? Sterile means something where it is devoid of any kind of microorganisms. So you are making sure that completely you have killed or eradicated all the microbes and living conditions possible. So that is to enable the growth of only desired microbe in large quantities for manufacture of biotechnological products. So in industries, wherever there is this large scale manufacturing going on, people have to make sure that they are maintaining a very aseptic condition. Okay, this is very important, because at this level, if you understand the importance of biotechnology, then definitely you can make a wise decision of choosing this as your career also. So you have to understand what is the importance and how is it beneficial. Of course, this is like, if you are more interested, you can always study up more on it, but Here, desired microbe, for example, in our air, in water, in soil, everywhere, so many types of microbes are present, and you want only, say, E. coli, one particular strain of E. coli to grow. So for that, you have to make sure that all other strains are eradicated, and for that only, maintenance of sterile environment is very, very important. Now, principles of genetic engineering. Genetic engineering allows isolation and introduction of only the desired genes into organisms without introducing the undesirable ones. For example, there are many genes, and we don't need all the other genes. We need just gene X. So only your gene X will be incorporated. That is made sure using biotechnology. So techniques: recombinant DNA, gene cloning, and gene transfer. Recombinant DNA is, how do you differentiate recombinant DNA technology and genetic engineering? So recombinant DNA technology is something that we ourselves are making. Genetic engineering means both are already existing in the nature, okay? Like the DNA is also present in the nature, and the bacteria is also, that the host and the vector both are present. I mean, the vector and the DNA is also present in the nature as it is. But in the case of recombinant DNA, the thing is not like that. Recombinant means you are making something out of yourself. So you're making, the human beings are involved in the artificial intelligence and all that is required in the making of the recombinant DNA technology usage. So say for example, vaccine production requires recombinant DNA usage, then all kinds of this PCR, then aerosol electrophoresis, then the southern blotting, all these things will be coming under recombinant DNA technology. Gene cloning, so preparing the exact copy, okay, exact copy of the mother cell, that mother organism, that is called the gene cloning. And gene transfer is of course from one organism to another. So once DNA fragment is transferred into an alien organism, it may get combined with its own DNA and start replicating itself. So origin of replication is the ORI, that is shortened as ORI. It is very important because ORI is the place from where the replication actually starts. Okay, so the plasmid that we know, plasmid in the bacteria, there's a specific markers on the bacterial plasmid. So this particular marker can be called an ORI, which is the origin of replication. That is the particular area from where this replication actually starts. So a specific sequence of DNA which initiates DNA replication is the origin of replication. The foreign genome introduced into the host organisms has to be linked with this or replicate. If it is not linked, it can't replicate. And cloning, making multiple identical copies of one template DNA, like from one you're making many, okay, and exact copies, okay. Plasmid is a circular extra chromosomal. Very important when you're defining plasmid, please make sure that you're writing the word extra chromosomal. So extra chromosomal material that is capable of replicating on its own, and they are used as vector for cloning and expression of the foreign DNA in host bacteria. As a desired gene, it is incorporated in the host's plasmid and it replicates, hence produces multiple copies of the desired gene. Now this is very important. Again, cutting of the DNA at specific location is done by actually restriction enzymes. Restriction enzymes are what? Molecular scissors, okay. Specific areas are present where they can actually go and cut on the DNA, okay. Exact areas are present where they can go and cut. They are called the molecular scissors. Why they are called molecular? Because they act at a molecular level. Antibiotic resistance genes, so these genes provide resistance against an antibiotic, and they provide the ability to microorganism to grow in its presence too. So antibiotic, these genes are present on the plasmids, this antibiotic resistance. So after discovering so many things, scientists have found out that on the plasmids of bacteria actually this antibiotic resistant genes are present. For example, ampicillin resistant gene, okay, that's a very common gene that's present on the plasmids very easily, ampicillin resistant gene, or say tetracycline resistant gene, okay. Like this kind of many types of antibiotic resistant genes are present in the plasmids, right. They are used as indicators of cloning and transformation. Then we have the ligase. Now ligase is something, from the word itself you can understand ligase means joins. So that's a particular enzyme that joins two DNA fragments, okay. Gene of interest is the gene that you are trying to insert into the new object, into the foreign object, okay. That is the good gene that you are trying to insert into the foreign object. For example, say Bt cotton. In Bt cotton, the gene that was inserted was cry gene. So cry gene is the gene of interest that you are inserting into the host organism, okay. Basic functions of genetic modification is identification of the DNA with desirable gene. For example, first you have to choose which gene you want to shift. For example, in case of Bt cotton, it was cry gene. So cry gene is our gene of interest. Then introduction of the identified DNA into the host. So you're introducing this DNA into the host organism. and then maintenance of the introduced DNA in the host and transfer of DNA to its progeny. So that has to multiply, that has to replicate. So for the till the replication, then all this maintenance have to be observed. Now there are various tools which help us for recombinant DNA technology. Actually, there are many tools, in the sense there are many helping hands, we can say, for this RDT. So first of all, we have our restriction enzymes, which are a very, very favorite of many biotechnologists actually, because restriction enzymes actually are used for many functions. Used for cutting the DNA is okay, but they cut at specific sites. They cut wherever we want them to, okay, specific places, by recognizing the restriction sequence, that is known as the restriction site. Now restriction site means what? There is a particular area, where in case of DNA strands, okay, see, I'll tell you here. They belong to larger class of enzymes called nucleases, of course, because they cut. Whenever you see the word ase, you have to understand it's an enzyme, okay. Ase means they cut the nucleus, so nuclease, they destroy the nucleus. There are two types, exo and endo. Of course, as the name suggests, exo means towards the outer ends the DNA will be cut, and endo means towards the inner ends the DNA will be cut, inner side. Now restriction sites, yes, this is what I was trying to say. They are called palindromic nucleotide sequences. If you don't know the literal meaning of the word palindromic, palindromic means it is the same when you read it forward and backward, okay. So you know by now that there is a DNA sequence occurs like this, 5 prime, and there is this 3 prime end, and simultaneously this is 5 prime, and this is the 3 prime end. So if you want that to happen, suppose like this, if you see this, C, 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 G, 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 C, C, C. Of course, because C and G will bind together, A and T will bind together. C and G triple bonds, A and T double bonds. So here G, C, A, T, A, T, T, A, T, A, C, G. 5 prime to 3 prime. Imagine this is the DNA sequence that we're talking about. Okay. So 5 prime to 3 prime. Again 5 prime to 3 prime. Okay. Please note the arrow here, the cursor here. Okay, the direction. So restriction sites are called palindromic. I said palindromic means when you read from this direction to this direction, this direction to this direction, and when you read from this direction to this direction, it should be the same. Okay, so this, if you want to judge this, G A A T T C, read this way, G A A T T C. Isn't it the same? Yes. So that is why it is called palindromic nucleotide sequence. Okay. So I hope you understood the meaning of the palindromic word, because this is very important for understanding restriction sites, restriction, this one, enzymes. So here you have to understand that for palindromic nucleotide sequences, these are the perfect areas where they are cut. Okay, they are actually, they target for all the palindromic areas, and they can cut very easily. So they recognize like that. Cutting by restriction enzymes can produce two types of ends. Okay, one is the sticky end, one is the blunt end. Now what is that sticky and blunt end? What is the difference and how does it matter? So blunt end and sticky end, here you see when you're cutting from here, the center, okay, what will you get? You will get two different pieces, no? When it is cut from here, you will get CCC GGG one end, you will get GGG CCC on the other end. But here, if you see, if you cut like this, follow the green line here, okay, what will you get? One side you will get GCTTAA, on the other side you will get AATTC and then G. So you will get this pattern, okay, and since like this you will get one, and like this you will get one, right? These are the two things. So this overhang is there, no? Since these overhangs are there, it is called sticky end. That means you can again use this for several purposes. Okay, it can very easily stick to another say DNA sequence. That is what is meant by sticky and blunt. Please make the concepts very clear, because these are basic things. Now action of restriction enzyme, how do they actually work? So if you see, this is the vector DNA and this is the foreign DNA. Okay, vector DNA is the this is the sequence. Okay, now this enzyme cuts both DNA strands at the same site. So here it is going to cut. The arrow which you have to follow is this. And here EcoR1 cuts the DNA between bases G and A. Wherever there is a base G and A, see G and A, it cuts in between. This is very much There are various restriction enzymes. EcoR1 is one of them. Okay, Escherichia coli restriction endonuclease 1. So it's going to cut. This is a characteristic enzyme property of the enzyme GNA. Between that it will cut. So wherever in the sequence GAA DTC it is present, in the between G and A it will cut. All right. Now if you go for EcoR1 next, if you introduce these in EcoR1 says this, the sticky end is produced. You see, like this sticky end, and this also, this overhang is there. So if you want to join both, DNA fragments can be easily joined, right? Very easily they can be joined. AATT can easily come and sit here. So what will it produce? This will produce a recombinant DNA. What do you understand by recombinant DNA? A new DNA which was not there. Okay, we started with something else, we got something else. We started with this vector DNA and this foreign DNA. Okay, and we got, see, red and black mixed. So this is your new DNA, which is the recombinant DNA, which we have to make using genetic engineering. So this is a very interesting field, and you can actually think about this. This is a very good and promising field also. Separation and isolation of DNA fragments is done by gel electrophoresis. One more thing is gel electrophoresis. What do you mean by gel electrophoresis? This is the basic level, so I will explain it to you in a very simple words. Gel electrophoresis means it is a particular setup for understanding which side the DNA fragments will go. Now you know that DNA is negatively charged because it contains phosphate, PO4 3-, and because of that, since DNA is negatively charged, of course it will go towards the positive side. Taking advantage of that, we actually follow this gel electrophoresis. Electrophoresis means using electricity we are able to track the DNA fragments actually. And gel, because we use generally agarose gel electrophoresis is used for DNA fragments. It involves migration of negatively charged DNA towards a positively charged anode. Negatively charged DNA towards, okay, through a porous gel under the influence of an electric field, very important electric field. Hence the DNA fragments get separated, and they separated according to their molecular weight. Okay, small fragments migrate more in comparison to larger ones, of course, because they can very easily move, and there are pores in the gel, so they can very easily find their way out of it. Most common matrix used today is agarose. Agarose is the most common one. Now, separated fragments can be visualized only after staining the DNA with ETBR. That is there. Okay, this is called the staining agent, which is the ethidium bromide, which is followed by exposure to UV light. Alright, ethidium bromide has to be mixed when you are loading the sample in the gel only. Sample here is the DNA sample. Bright orange bands of DNA can be seen as the ETBR has fluorescence. Now, the thing that you have to understand is ETBR is very, very carcinogenic. So when you are using it, please be very careful. Now, elution. Elution means the purification process. Okay, how much ever DNA band you want out of the gel, this is done by elution. Cloning vectors are only any DNA molecule that carries gene of interest to be inserted into the host. Cloning vector example is plasmids. Now, features of any cloning vector can be, first of all, it has to have an ORI. ORI means the place from where the origin, from where the replication will start. So it's a set of nucleotide sequences from where the replication will start. It is also responsible for maintaining copy number. Copy number means if you want high copy number of the target gene, then choose a vector whose ORI supports high copy. Copy number means the number of multiple copies. Okay, how many copies you can get out of it. And selectable markers are used as a detection. They are used as a biomarker. It helps in identification of transformed and non. What do you mean by transformation? Transformation means whether the gene of interest has been taken up by the host cell or not. So I told you that you're taking out the DNA and then you're inserting into the host, all that is okay, but how will you make sure whether the gene of interest has entered into it or not? So for that we need selectable markers. Okay, transformation is required, whether the process of transformation has happened or not. Genes encoding for antibiotic resistance like ampicillin, tetracycline, etc. There are some useful selectable markers like E. coli. As normal E. coli cells do not show any kind of antibiotic. They don't have any resistance towards any antibiotic. Okay. Then cloning site. Now cloning site is the area where you're going to clone. So to insert the GOI, vector should have few recognition sites. Okay. Preferably one, but many of them have many actually. As the restriction enzymes will recognize it and cut the DNA from that site, ligation will take place at antibiotic resistance genes. Now, we can ligate the foreign DNA at BAM-H1 site. This is another restriction enzyme of the tetracycline resistance gene. There is a vector of PBR. Okay, plasmid or Bolivar and Rodriguez 322 is the name of the strain. So in this vector, BAMH1 site has got a particular tetracycline resistance. For that we can ligate the foreign DNA there. Once the gene is ligated, the vector will lose its antibiotic resistance and then transformed cells can be separated. Another method you can use, that is insertional inactivation. This is insertional inactivation means, as the name suggests, when you insert the gene, it becomes inactivated. Ability to produce color in the presence of a chromogenic substance. A recombinant DNA is inserted, that the gene that is inserted, the enzyme that is inserted is beta galactose. Okay, beta galactose is very important. It converts galactose to lactose, and if the gene is inserted, beta galactose will not be formed, and therefore galactose will not be converted into lactose. So there is no conversion of galactose to lactose, and that results in the inactivation of the enzyme. And that's why it's called insertion. That means if the gene has been inserted, this enzyme beta galactose will be inactivated, and therefore galactose will not be converted into lactose inside the cell anymore. So it is called insertional inactivation. If you see here, these BAMH1, SAL1, PVU2, PS2-1, PVU1, EcoR1, CLA1, HIMS3, all these are restriction enzyme sites. And ampicillin resistant gene, tetracycline resistant gene, this is the origin of replication, and the PBR322 is the particular marker, the particular plasmid that we are studying about here. Now, vectors for cloning genes in plants and animals. Now, in plants and animals also there are various vectors, Agrobacterium tumefaciens, okay, very important one, whose tDNA, okay, a part of the tDNA is actually inserted, and it transforms normal plant cells to tumor cells to produce the chemicals required by the pathogen. So this is a very important discovery that has been done in the field of genetic engineering, and almost everybody studies about this. Agrobacterium tumefaciens. This is also called Agrobacterium mediated gene transfer. This is because of that tDNA is transferred. Similarly, retrovirus in animals has the ability to transform normal cells to cancerous, of course, because cancer, whatever you see the change happening, that is because of retrovirus only. Tumor-inducing plasmids of Agrobacterium tumefaciens have been modified into a cloning vector, and that is non-pathogenic, but it's still able to deliver the gene of interest using this same mechanism. What do you understand by a competent host? Competent host means something that has already taken up the gene of interest. Okay, that is competent enough now. In order to allow the bacterial cells to take up the DNA, it should be made competent. And how do you make the cell competent? You have to give a little bit of shock. Okay, like subsequently this experiment, if you are doing, please do it in a one by one, continuously, and do not leave any gap in between. Successively you have to do. It is done by treating the cell in specific concentration of bivalent ions, okay, like calcium, that creates a hole in the cell wall, and then heat shock. First of all, you are treating the cell in calcium, number one. Number two is your giving heat shock. Heat shock means you're, for just some amount of time, you're putting it in high temperature, and then suddenly you are incubating it in ice. Okay, so these shocks are given: calcium, heat shock, and ice, followed by placing them and again 42 degrees, and then back on ice. So this heat, hot, cold, like this change in temperature is given. That's why it allows the cell to become competent enough. Okay, this is something like Darwin's survival of the fittest. So the cell will try its maximum to adjust. This forces the recombinant DNA into the cell. Along with the DNA can be inserted using biolistics or gene gun. This methods also can be used. Gene gun method delivery is very important, and this is the mostly used technique. And using micro injections, this DNA can be inserted into the nucleus actually. Micro injections are also another gift of genetic engineering only. Now, processes of recombinant DNA technology. There are various processes. Isolation of the genetic material, that is the DNA. To isolate, you can use lysozyme in case of bacteria, cellulose in case of plant cells, chitinase or in case of fungus, and RNA you can, whenever you have to remove something, for example DNA, RNA, please use the respective nucleases. For example, for RNA you can use ribonuclease. For DNA you can use deoxyribonuclease. Okay, and proteins you can use protease. Purified DNA precipitates out in the chilled ethanol, and DNA is obtained as fine threads. So isolation of genomic DNA you will be doing if you take this as your subject. Isolation of genomic DNA is very easy, but at the same time it is very interesting also. Cutting of the DNA at specific locations. Suppose there is a particular location which has been fixed already for cutting the DNA. So for those cases, it is done by incubating purified DNA with restriction enzymes at optimal conditions. This is very important to maintain because ultimately it is DNA strands. Agarose electrophoresis is used to check the progression. That means how much the digestion has happened. For that you can go for age. And chain of interest, that is GOI, is isolated and ligated in the vector resulting in recombinant DNA. Now, amplification of the gene of interest. This is another very important and interesting point again. Amplification of gene of interest using PCR. PCR stands for polymerase chain reaction. Okay, it is used to amplify the gene of interest. Whatever gene you have inserted into the host, you want that to amplify. You want that 1000 copies of that, suppose. Okay, so for that we will follow this simple mechanism. Two primers are used. One is forward and another is a reverse primer. Now, DNA polymerase enzyme is used to amplify the DNA. Amplify in the sense enlarge. Okay. Suppose this is the region, the pink region is the region that has to be amplified. Okay, this strand is 5 prime, follow my cursor, 5 prime to 3 prime, and this is 5 prime to 3 prime. Alright, this is the double stranded DNA. Cool. Next, go for heating. Okay, that is also called denaturation. Why denaturation? Because we want a single strand out of it. We don't want double strand anymore. We want single strand. So we are breaking the bonds. In between these bonds we are breaking. Okay, we are providing heat and then we are breaking it. After they are broken, what you're doing is, you know that these are in 5 prime to 3 prime, and you also know that DNA extends in the 5 prime to 3 prime direction only. So 5 prime to 3 prime is there already with you, and you are inserting primers. What do you understand by primers? They are the exact opposite sets of nucleotides which are present here. For example, here if there is A, this primer will be T. If here this is C, this primer will be G. Like that, you already know the sequence, and then you are just like a jumble puzzle. Okay, you are placing one by one, you are placing the primers, and then you are making them. And if you set for a short stretch of nucleotides, that is the primer. If you set for few, the others will automatically continue. Alright. And the opposite way also, the same way it happens. This way, for both the strands, you are annealing. Annealing means joining. Okay, next you are making use, this is the most important part, where you are making use of the DNA polymerase enzyme, which is called the Taq polymerase, which is again taken from Thermus aquaticus. That is a particular bacteria, Thermus aquaticus, which gives us this polymerase. Okay, deoxynucleotides. In the presence of this polymerase, this whole reaction happens, which is called the extension. That means the whole channel is running now. Okay, 5 prime to 3 prime you already had. Now this is a little bit wrong, because here this should be 5 prime and this should be 3 prime, and here also down also this should be 5, this should be 3. Okay, because they are always anti-parallel. Now like this it will continue for 30 cycles, around 30 cycles, and this is amplified say 1 billion times very easily. Isn't it very interesting? Because you started with just one strand and you came up to 1 billion times. Just imagine what a, like, it's like no less than a magic, right? Insertion of recombinant DNA into the host cell next. So target cells are made up. I told you how to make competent cells. So target cells can be inserted inside it, and obtaining the foreign gene product, of course, whatever is your recombinant protein. That ultimate aim of recombinant DNA technology is to obtain that production of the desired protein. So the protein produced is the recombinant protein. Now to produce large amount of recombinant proteins, large vessels called bioreactors are used. Now just like that, you can't do this experiment anywhere. No, for that you need the bioreactors. Bioreactors are nothing but they are the ones, they are like the vessels which provide a proper environment for the growth of the cells. Okay, they have everything that is required for the growth of the cell. They have an agitator system, they have an oxygen delivery system, they have a foam control system, and they have a temperature control system, pH control, sampling port. You can always insert and then you can always take out the products from them. Two types of bioreactors, majorly simple stirred tank bioreactor and sparged stirred type bioreactor. Based on their functions they are named so. If you see here, this is the acid base pH control, this is the insert steam from here, and this is the motor that keeps a count, and this is the foam breaker if in case there is any foam inside that has to be broken, and flat embedded impeller, and cultured broth is put here, and sterile air is to be released from here. Now if you see, culture broth in the sense whatever bacterial culture you're inserting into this, and this is the sparger because it actually breaks this part. So you see bubbles dramatically increase the oxygen transfer area. This is the sparger, which is very important, and this is the gas entrainment. The gas is collected here. Now downstream processing, the downstream processing means whenever there is any industrial development of any particular product, if there is a recovery of that particular product, the process of separation and purification of this desired product, because out of the many products that are involved in the production from one particular system, you need only one product. For the finding out, or for the purification or separation of that one product, you need this downstream processing, DSP, very important. Product needs to be treated with suitable preservatives also, and in case of drugs it needs to go through clinical trials after that. So downstream processing involves all the processes that come under the purification of the desired product. Let me also take a moment to introduce you to Missionet. It is an online tutoring and mentoring service which connects you to tier 1 college students of IITs, NITs, AIMS, etc., from which you can ask any kind of doubts which you may have with regards to your competitive or board examinations. Their fees start from a menial ₹1,000 per subject per month, where you get the said services along with AI-based feedback as well. You can reach out to them at contact@missionet.in for any queries. That marks the end of our session. Hope that was good. Make sure that you like the video and subscribe to our channel for further updates. Thank you.